What's up, everybody? Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily podcast powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. No days off here at CanesInSight. Huge week, obviously, with Pitt on Saturday. Hope you're enjoying a great day of food, football, faith with your family here in the biggest week of Miami football since I can remember. We had to bring in the big guns. We got Ahmmon Richards in the bullpen, ready to talk. We got Pete, and as always, it's brought to you by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Pete, hop in here.
D, good morning. As you said, Thanksgiving, but more importantly here, we got Canes Hoops game day against a top 10 BYU. Really a great test here early in the season for Miami. Obviously had that opportunity against Florida. They battled, kept it close relatively there for a good part of the game, and obviously got away from them there. We're not efficient around the basket. Missed a lot of free throws. 8.5-point underdogs today against BYU. So expecting them to keep it within 10 points there. But I'm pumped up, man. Football. You said I'm talking about watching football today. I'm watching Canes Hoops 5 p.m., man. I'm ready.
No, huge game, huge opportunity to really show the nation, what Miami's got here in a high-profile matchup. BYU, I never would have thought we'd be talking about BYU with these five-star players. It's insane, but that's college sports, man. It's changing so quick. But yeah, just real quick, want to say, some things I'm thankful for. Obviously, we're all thankful for our family and friends, and we'll assume that one. But Canes-wise, man, just thankful for the opportunity to be here and able to talk Canes with everybody in the chat and on the show and CanesInsight.com every day. It is a true joy, man. Thankful every day. No day is work. Excited every time I get to do it. So that's awesome. And thankful just really, Pete, for Canes being a real team again. You can turn on the TV, they're talking about the Canes and not just at the end of the show, right? They're right there in the front. Turn on recruiting shows, talk about the Canes. Turn on the video game, the Canes are good. Turn on the Heisman, there's Canes. Turn on the first round, there's Canes. It just seems like we're getting closer to being a real program again. It's been a long time since that's been the case.
Yeah, shout out to my boy G-Reg Third Leg. Met him in Dallas, and he made a good point on Twitter. Because he's been watching the shows, and obviously I've been talking about the 10-win, how it's really relevance is being established. And he put it to me, I think the best way you can put it. In the last 2 years, every single game Miami has played in has had playoff implications. Every single game. And because of Miami, not because of what's going on in the, whoever the opponent is. So when you talk about what this modern era is, the 12-team playoff, you think, yeah, you should be in the mix for half the year, but you think Florida and Florida State fans felt that way? You think that they have felt like the last 6-7 games for them have really mattered in the grand scheme of things? So that's what I'm thankful for in terms of where this program's at. We're in the mix, like you said.
Yeah, man. So appreciate Clutch and thankful for Clutch, man. All the people in the chat. Thanks for bringing us a show on Thanksgiving, taking time away from the fam. Super grateful. Let's go win 10, build the statue. Thankful for Mario Cristobal saving this program. Appreciate you. Yes, it's easy to be away from the fam now because my mother-in-law and my wife are working on everything. So nice excuse to avoid having to do any work around the kitchen. But again, thank you, Clutch. Thank you, Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. All the support they give to the show. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. All right, so let's bring in someone that we're thankful for being able to watch, particularly when it comes to this game coming up against Pitt. He did some work against these guys, and that is Canes great, Ahmmon Richards. Ahmmon, what's going on?
What's going on?
So talk to us about Thanksgiving, man. What are you thankful for? What do you got on the plate?
Oh, man. First, just thankful for life right now, blessed, thankful for just being able to put on the U, all the support, on and off the field, even after the days, all the fans, you guys, I really appreciate it. As far as food wise, man, I'm looking forward to the mac and cheese. What else? Some ham, some good ham. some mashed potatoes. I know some people probably don't eat mashed potatoes, but some mashed potatoes, some greens, collard greens, some good cornbread, man. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to. Obviously, the drinks come with it a little bit. Have some little drink a little bit. But yeah, other than that, man, just excited. Like you said, the Canes are relevant again. I feel like like Pete just said, like back-to-back years, we're actually like talking about like legit football games, and we're winning big games as well, and we're kind of in contention year after year. Like we're in contention for that playoff spot. So let's just continue climbing. When you think back to just previous years, like it's just been a long time coming, a long time we've seen a team like this big, this fast, this physical. So just thankful for that, right now, as we are like fans in this time, like that's what we're rooting for. So I remember the bad days, so it's good to see. It's good to see.
Yeah, so I'll tell you a performance I'm thankful for, and is relevant, I think, this weekend. So I'm pulling up November 5th, 2016. Same coach at Pittsburgh, same defensive scheme with Narduzzi, same way of getting down, really the same type of program. Here we go. Miami 51-28, big win at home against Pittsburgh. And, some good performances here. Brad, 356, 4 touchdowns. Mark Walton, 125 yards, touchdown. But right here, 8 receptions, 144 yards with a long of 41 for Mr. Ahmmon Richards. So same defense, man. Same aggressive style.
Yeah.
How did you tear these guys up? And what did you see from this style of defense that you think can be exploited?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, they're not hiding really what they do. They pretty much play you head up. And I do think overall that's why like you see them win a lot of like big games, but then they'll drop a few because sometimes they play just so I wouldn't say basic, but like they trust their scheme, and their whole like philosophy is like fast, physical, like you say, downhill, a lot of quarters, a lot of man coverage. But going into that matchup, I just remember Coach Rick was like, hey, like you're gonna be, involved in this game plan. And pretty much went through practice, we're watching their film, and essentially everything we saw on film, like every look that we had, like our shot plays against, they literally was giving us that look every single time we lined it up. So it was just one of those just like perfect situations where I'm in a slot, like I'm running a slot fade, go in, second, third play of the game, and they're in man coverage, and they're sitting in man coverage. Now I will say they did have some guys. When I look back on it, a few of the guys in the secondary played in NFL, and I believe what's the kid name for the Bills who got injured?
Hamlin.
Yeah, DeMar Hamlin was like out there corner. They had a number 11, some kid named I can't remember his name, but they had like 3 dudes, I believe, that played in NFL. So they had a pretty good secondary. So they have some talent. I guess that's my point, that they always have some pretty good talent. They recruit pretty well. Smart football players. But this is going to be one of those games where I think they play into what we do really well. I do think we do a really good job of playing teams who just play us head up, and it's not really, gimmicky in a way. They have their philosophy, they have their style of play, and they're true to it. Kind of like how, we get on Mario for like being almost stubborn in a way for the philosophy or their style of play. Like, Pitt is pretty much the same way in just a different type of scheme, but they run what they run, and they're going to go out there and they're going to live and die by it. So, it's an exciting opportunity. Hopefully we can get some get back from 2017 on the road. 12 o'clock is kind of setting up to be something similar, except like I said, I do think we have a more talented team this time around. And also think just, a lot of our guys being healthy around this time period is also very impactful in the results.
Man, you see that number I put up on the screen, man?
Yeah, I see it, 91. Hey, listen. Hey, look, this is the thing, Pete. It's kind of one of those situations where it's a win-win, right? Because when I broke Michael Irvin record, right, anytime people talk to me or brought it up, They've always mentioned Michael Irvin every time. So it's one of those like things where it's always going to be mentioned no matter what. Like, so if it happens, right, which I will be happy because one, I know how hard it is to play as a freshman. Better yet, be like an impact guy as a freshman, and then do it throughout the entire year. Like, it's very difficult. So I tip my hat off to him. You know, people I think has grown to realize how hard it was to do. It's been almost a decade now. So, you know, 91 yards, that's well within range, especially, you know, going on the road at Pitt. You know, almost like a life or death game for us, right? So I'm sure we're going to go out guns blazing. And what we've seen the last few weeks is that we're trying to get the best players the ball. And Mally's been a guy that's been consistent in making plays.
We need that postseason conversation, Ahmmon and Malachi Tony, man. That'd be a good one there.
Yeah, man. Hey, in the offseason, man, I'm trying to get up there, you know, work with some of the guys up there, man, just to, you know, give some of the knowledge I have and, you know, stuff like that. So we'll see. You know, I've chatted with them before one of the games, you know, just as like a receiver group, you know, just to give them some.
You got some business knowledge to give them now. They're making money now, so you can help them out on that side.
Yeah, that and I mean, you know, we've been a part of some pretty good wins with Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, but we've also I've been a part of some hard losses as well. So just trying to sometimes you got like hearing the same thing from a different voice. Sometimes it kind of gets through. So just, you know, reminding guys, you know, like, look, you guys are playmakers, you know, whether the offensive run game isn't as explosive as it should be. At the end of the day, we're receivers, man. We get the ball. We want to make plays, you know? So I feel like we're like the lifeline of the offense. That's how I've always seen it. That's how I will forever see it. Like the receivers are the ones who like up the offense. When you think about like Ohio State, you think about receivers. Like that's just how it is. When you got those talented guys on the perimeter. And I feel like we should always be in every game as long as the receivers are making plays. You know, whether it's 1 catch, 3 catches, 12, you know, we impact players. We change games, you know, and we went out there, I think it was NC State or whatever it was after, and we went crazy. I think Marion had 100 yards right after, so I think I might got to start talking to him a little more.
Yeah, your boy, man, he was looking good against Virginia Tech. So, you know, one thing I want to ask you about is Pitt's defense. We know those safeties like to fly downhill, right? They like to blitz big time. They'll send 6. And if you're going into this game, you got to think that their priority is taking Malachi Tony out the game. Now, there's only 11 players on the field, so there's only so many things, right, that they can do. So, like, when you're an aggressive defense like this that wants to blitz, that wants to take away the run game, and that also is probably prioritizing Malachi Tony, what does that mean for some of the other players? And just how does that work, you know, in terms of X's and O's when there's only so many guys you can use?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. It opens up so much. Like, I don't think people realize, like, when you just think about some of the plays where even Malachi is just motioning from one side of the field to the other, or he's motioning to get like a reverse or a jet sweep, I should say. Like, if you really watch the defense and how they float, so whenever he's moving and the eyes that he attracts, like, you see guys running wide open or getting free releases, you know, so I think it's very complimentary. I think, you know, he's embracing that role, just being the guy. He's not running from him. He's not shying away from it. So that's one of the most impressive things I've seen as well. As far as like for Pitt, how they're going to like defend it, I do think we're going to see more of like too high looks because when you're in the slot, it's hard to, like, you're not going to just press and throw a safety over the top as if you're in a boundary on the outside, right? So you kind of got to bracket them, you know, and pretty much always have eyes on them at all times, which I think, in my opinion, I think will do is, you know, pretty good justice in the passing game for other receivers like Marion we've seen come along. CJ Daniels, if he gets back healthy, right? That's another guy. JoJo made a really good catch in a crucial moment. I wouldn't say crucial moment, but, you know, to keep the drive going.
I feel like it was important. They wouldn't have scored that extra touchdown.
Exactly.
Imagine what the narrative would have been. And I was going to kind of ask you about JoJo and like Dalen Upshaw, those two guys, and even a Josh Moore. I'll say Josh Moore too, because
Yeah.
All three of those guys, JoJo, we know what the conversation was. A lot of it thanks to us. But between him, Upshaw, and Moore, guys that everyone was kind of saying, hey, could they help? Could they help and give you a little bit of burst here and there offensively? As young players, how much credit do you give them, and how hard is it for the fact that like they weren't seeing that much time in the beginning of the season, but they stuck with it mentally, obviously, because they continue to get their opportunities, and like they're crucial parts of this team now going into the last week of the year. So how hard is that as a young guy who is not playing all that much early to mentally stick with it and push through here?
I mean, hats off to them, because it is very difficult coming in, and a lot of these guys, there talks about them probably having a red shirt early in the year, right? They're not getting no playing time or few plays towards the end of games, whatever the case may be. But I think you can see what type of room we have when guys who really haven't contributed early in the season have essentially waited and watched every single other person make plays but themselves. And they're like, right now, it's like their number's called and they're ready for the moment. Like you see, guys like Josh Moore who, made plays early in the season, kind of trembled off. And now you've seen him make a few catches in the last few games. You've seen Dalen Upshaw come out of the blue, right? Taking a screen versus NC State, sparking the offense a little bit. And then you see, him make a pretty good third down catch in the game where all those plays matter because it keeps drives alive. So it may not be like the box score or the stat box that people are looking for, but if you're really watching the games, you see like these younger guys are making impact plays. And to be honest, like it's difficult to go from a guy being on the sideline kind of cheering for everybody else, and then now you're actually in those moments. Like you have to have some type of like emotional control to like stay focused and not let the outside noise of your parents or your friends and people you play video games with, whatever, kind of like sway you into believing like, oh, like they're trying you or they're not giving you the opportunity, man, you need to transfer. Like, no, I feel like the guys really just sat tight. They knew their moment was going to come. I mean, I've said it on earlier shows, like it's a long season. You just never know who comes alive later in the years because guys get nicked up, right? We've seen CJ Daniels go down, guys get banged up, and you're going to need the next guy up. And so you need those younger guys to be ready and to be mentally ready to, for the moment, because without it, you're going to be cooked. And Lord behold, I think the younger guys have done a very good job of just stepping into the role, embracing it, and, keeping us alive. That's how I see it, keeping us alive and fresh. Because once you got guys behind you who can come in and give you significant snaps, it changes. Like now a guy like CJ Daniels can really rest and get healthy. He's not rushed back. He's not forced to be out there because we don't have no depth, so it's good to see.
A defense like this from a receiver perspective, would you rather go against a defense like this is going to be nose to nose kind of challenging you, or would you rather be, able to just sit in zones, run out to the catch and do all those kind of things?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. I love the team that's gonna come play you head up. I love that, because when you watch film and you really break it down, like you see the opportunities on film, and they're gonna come because these teams are true to what they show you on film. And so, yeah, I like that. I think those teams who come out and they're running 2 invert and they're in cover 3, they're switching to cover 1 do a bunch of crazy stuff like that's just more annoying because you got to hesitate a little bit longer. But yeah, I like when the team want to get in your face. That's why I like playing teams like Florida State, like coming up, because they're going to play you man to man. Like you see what they're in. They're not really hiding it. It is what it is. Our guy's better than your guy. Like that's just the mentality. So I think Pitt is one of those type of teams where they believe their team and their scheme is better than yours, and they're going to line up and try to execute it. So.
And just follow up on that, what do you think is better for like a young guy? I mean, Malachi, we'll put him in a different category, right? Because he's already a star of college football. But like the Josh Moores, the Dalen Upshaws, JoJo Traders, guys that are younger, do you think they're better off being challenged like this, or they're going to be more comfortable where they can get those kind of easy completions in the zone and maybe get going that way?
So that's a good question. That's a really good question. I don't really know, to be honest. I would say just going off like if it's not like someone like Mally, where they can get into zones and just kind of get open, make those plays, make it a little easier for them is also good. But I do think like them being challenged on the perimeter, like they have risen to the occasion as well. Like they've made big plays, especially Josh Moore on the perimeter. If it's one-on-one coverage, more times than not. Dalen Upshaw, I've seen, he's won a couple times just in man-to-man coverage. So I do think they can step up to the challenge of a team that's just going to line up and show their hand and just force you to beat them. I think
It's kind of like the opening, right? It's like these guys have been doing this for a minute, right? All these one-on-one just kind of go.
Yep, no, 100%. That's literally what it's like. So we'll see. I know
opening's still a thing. What a great event that used to be, man.
Oh, it's not a thing. Yeah, right. It's not a thing.
I don't know. I'm asking. That used to be crazy, man.
Did you do the camp some? I don't remember you being a big camp guy.
Nah, I can't make after my sophomore year, going into my junior year, I went to like Tennessee. I had a coach take me like Tennessee. I went to Florida, UGA when Rick was there, and I went to Miami. But by the time I got to Miami, like I didn't like actually compete in the camp stuff because I was already like nicked up from like the traveling, and I just drove all through the state. So when I got to Miami, I was like burnt out, tired, body was hurting. So I didn't like camp there. I just kind of, hung around and stuff. But after that, I didn't do no like no local camps or anything like that. I really just was the type of guy where I was like these kids out here, they do too much like capping, in the camps for me. They do a lot of like non things you do in football games. So it was just like annoying, even though I was cooking in like one-on-ones more particular, but the 7-on-7 world, I really wasn't big in it. Like the camping, I really didn't care. I was just like, bro, whatever you do when you put that helmet on is what matters. And like, I'm a different player, like physicality wise, when the pads come on, because I know I can make you miss one-on-one. In the camp, you could just tag me off and I'm down and you're celebrating. But in the game, you're not making that tackle. Like, so yeah, I didn't camp like that, honestly.
So you're telling me all those routes that run into 7-on-7 on Instagram and the camps, those don't work in games?
Nah, man. I mean, only because like if you anything in anything in breaking, man, you have a chance to get your head taken off, and I just think when you go to camps, like you just see so many like routes where you like that kid not reaching out like that. If there's a safety or a linebacker who actually can hit them, like those thoughts changes a lot of guys from camp where you can't get hit to an actual football game where it's free game, So, and we talk about in the day where there was like crack backing, there wasn't no targeting. So that's where I'm like, kids was like, I'm watching like camp videos and kids doing routes and they're running across the middle full speed. I'm like, dude, you don't even like, people don't even know, like you're not doing that in no game, but it's all cool. I get it for the stars and stuff, but I was just like, man, just show me the pads, man. Show me the football pads and the helmet and I'm good. I'm there.
Ahmmon, we're talking about physicality and tackling. What did you see from the defense last week in terms of the run defense was not good, and something I mentioned is that I feel like sometimes that can be kind of contagious. That sort of performance obviously hasn't happened all year, but what do they need to do to prevent that from happening this week? And not just the run game, but just like to me, I see opportunities that are being missed in the backfield in terms of sacking the quarterback. And that can't happen against Pitt this week, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, when I watch back, I do think it was one of our, if not one of the worst, like tackling performances we've had all season. Just a lot of missed tackles. I feel like at the point of contact as well, we weren't as physical as we normally are as far as like getting off blocks, especially like in that like star/slot position. I feel like that's where guys like, Keontae Scott and Pruitt did a really good job, like in the game, by the way. But if we're using like guys who've shown us in the past, like Keontae Scott was kind of like that eraser in like that slot position as far as like containing outside runs, having the speed and physicalness to, make it cut back inside. And I just felt like even on the perimeter, even at like corner, like we were getting blocked by the receivers. We weren't getting off to keep the thing contained as well. So they were just really getting all the way outside, which, outside runs, you want to force back inside to your help. But I feel like we're just getting washed. So, I definitely want to see that, cleaned up, which I think we will. We've seen, Corey Heatherman correct a lot of things. If it goes wrong, week to week, he's pretty quick to, fix it.
In game, it's been he's made good adjustments. You saw against Louisville to, for example. So I think the tackling thing there's more to it than the coaching stuff, right? These guys got to be in that mindset.
I just think it was one of those things where, you got a 3-7 team, you're on the road. It's easy to kind of fall into like the, we're going to bring it, but we're not going to really go full on, crazy. So I don't know. I just feel like we weren't really fighting hard enough to get off blocks. Right. And I think once Virginia Tech realized like, oh, we can continue running outside, then it was like nonstop, right? As majority of their plays were just like these outside runs that just kept stringing all the way outside. So, we did have a lot of good plays as well. We stopped them pretty much 3 times in a row on 4th down until they finally gave it to them after 3 stoppages and dead balls. We didn't start the play. So, I do think some of the drives where they're just emotionally kind of like drained as far as just like the getting 2 stops in a row on 4th down, and then the refs keep bailing them out, give them a 3rd opportunity, and then you finally give it to them. A face mask on 4th and 2 when you had them stop. They scored the next play. Just like there was a few things where I feel like they just kind of, I wouldn't say lay down, but the moment just kind of like they kind of got burnt from it. But all that to be said, I do think we all understand the implications that this Pitt game has on the season. And, right now, like it's a must-win game. There is no, next week. There's no, we drop it. You're not going to the playoffs. You're not going to no ACC championship game. You're going to be playing in some random bowl game if you drop it. So I think we all understand what's at stake from top to bottom, from the head guy all the way to the, the person who tapes up your ankles. I think we all know. So I think we'll see like a very physical ball game. I think guys will be flying around.
I gotta ask because listen, we didn't play the game. D and I didn't. So when we talk about the cold weather, some people are like, man, it's football. They don't have to worry about it. But like a lot of guys that I've talked to say it makes a difference, right? Can you talk about how it affected you when you played, and how you think it could affect how this game plays out?
I mean, the number one thing I think about is a lot of things hurt more in the cold, right? Regular routine hits, you hitting someone, like it all like hurts and stings a little bit more. For 2, as a receiver, like the ball itself feels like a brick, when it's very cold, and it gets a little moist because body guys are sweating, so it gets a little wet as well. Then it freezes, gets back cold. So it's like catching a brick as well. So that's 2. 3, you got to keep your footing, because when it's cold, the grass is a little bit more like dead. So it's like it gives away a little bit more easier, right? You can slip a little. I'm not gonna say it's like when it rains, but it's of that type of feeling. You got to chop a little more, got to take good angles, so it's just one of those things where it is football weather. Like guys are gonna have fun, but I just want us to be smart. Like I don't want us out there pre-game with no shirts on, running around, yelling and screaming. Like, dude, everyone knows it's cold. You don't have to show us that you're not afraid of the cold. We understand that. Just stay warm, wear your jackets, bundle up, stay warm throughout the game. And that's it. I mean, you can't change the weather. This is just what it is at this time of day. When you think about Ohio State last year when they played Tennessee at home, right? It's a brick game. And you see Tennessee out there with no shirts on doing the most, and they get blew out because none of that matters. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you ready to play in the cold. It's just that simple. Yes or no. It's like a mentality. Once you make your mind up that like I'm ready for however this weather feels, whether it hurts to get hit, whatever, I'm like leaning into that, you're good. But some guys, man, they don't like the cold. They perform different in the cold. Like I said, it hurts a little different in the cold. So we'll see. I do think we got quite a few guys on the team, who came from other programs who have played in cold games as well throughout the roster. That's a good thing about the transfer portal or national recruiting nationally. You get guys coming from these states that actually got 4 seasons and stuff. So I'm excited. I think we're going to be good. I think we're going to be very physical up front. This game kind of plays into what we do well, just being physical, running the ball. And I think we'll have opportunities to take shots down the field just based on their style of play.
Tackling Mark Fletcher probably in the cold too. Not going to be
I'm telling you. I mean, imagine he's 6'2", 200-some pounds. Imagine him hit you're a linebacker, right? You're hitting him 20 times in a game. Like that hurt. Like that hurts. I promise you, that hurts. So
I think it was really, really important to get him. I know it wasn't his best performance as he was getting back, but I think it was important to get him reacclimated last week. I know CJ Daniels only played a couple snaps too, but if those guys are out there, that means that they're there, right?
Yes.
They can go, right? It's different than not even getting out there. So I think mentioning Mark Fletcher was good to see him kind of grease the wheels a little bit last week.
Yeah, and then remember it was 20-3 at one point, so I think it wasn't like a game where you needed to burn, like, call all the Avengers, right? I think it was one of those, like, let's see how you feel, get you out there, get you kind of in, a feel for it. It's not a game where we're threatened about losing or anything like that, obviously. So I think we'll see a good dose of CJ Daniels and Mark Fletcher again this upcoming week, just based on what's at stake in the magnitude of this game.
We had an Avenger on the sideline, my boy Danny Ramirez, Hollywood superstar. I think he might be at this next game too as well. So shout out to him. Also shout out to Harry Rothwell, Mr. Canes legend over there at the Miami Hurricane team store. It's Black Friday. So we got the Sebastian sock free with any store purchase of $40 or more. Black Friday, which is tomorrow through December 1st, first 100 orders. But it's not just that. You also got 30% off everything, both online at the Miami Hurricane team store, MiamiHTS.com, and in-store at the Thesis Hotel right across campus. Jerseys, hoodies, hats, all your game day gear. Everything is 30% off. So swing by the store at the Thesis Hotel or shop online at MiamiHTS.com and grab your Hurricane merch while the deal lasts. All right, so one thing I want to talk about here, kind of the most important player, pretty much every game, but certainly when you play a defense like Pitt plays, Carson Beck at quarterback. Now, look, he's been playing phenomenal. We all know that. We've seen the stats. But at the same time, he's played some pretty bad pass defenses. Even SMU, where I thought he played well aside from the last pass, that was a good, very good run defense, not a very good pass defense. NC State, Virginia Tech, Syracuse, these are bottom tier, like in the hundreds, pass defenses. At the same time, coming off injury, he's now got chemistry with his receivers, so there's a reason why you would think he'd be peaking now as opposed to early in the year. What do you see with Carson Beck? Is he different, and what do you expect going into Pitt?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been great. I think he's been like what we've all and all the scouts and stuff, been saying about him. I think you've seen that, right? You've seen a very accurate passer, and he just looks like he's a lot more like engaged in the flow of the offense. Like, I really do feel like he's like almost like he's went over that curve, with the offense. I know it's late in the season, but we got to remember, he didn't participate in spring at all. Only started throwing in like the summertime camp area, still recovering from that injury. Obviously, he started off the season pretty good, and then we started kind of sputtering a little bit. But since the style of play on offense changed, in my opinion, I think we saw a quarterback that's more engaged and he likes what's actually being called. And he's enjoying it. I mean, he really, I feel like he believes in what's actually, the philosophy of what we're trying to do on offense right now. And 9 TDs, 0 interceptions. I mean, his completion percentage is like insane.
Yep.
I mean, you can't really ask for the last 3 game stretch. Now, people argue and push back.
Over 80% the last 3 games.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's just like, I mean, that's crazy. You know, I mean, he's not putting the ball really in harm's way. You know, run game, you know, gave us a little spark as well with Pringle, you know, to make teams kind of get out the box a little bit, you know, running outside. So I just think he has a fair chance. You know, I think it's very hard when you're just running up the middle and, you know, everything's kind of predictable. Like, I just feel like, you know.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing at this comment from our boy Juan Manuel. He says, Beck needs to do his job and leave. Well, what else is he going to do? He doesn't have any more eligibility.
Oh, man. Hey, Beck gonna play the NFL for a while.
Yeah,
man.
I wish he did have eligibility. Come on.
I don't think Juan Manuel's a big fan of Beck's.
Let me ask you this, Ahmmon, with Beck. Does he remind you of Brad? Because I feel like the most similar would be, like, of any of the quarterbacks that we've had would be Kaya, just in terms of like he's most like. Like, do you see similarities there? Like, how do you you play with a pretty tall, accurate quarterback?
Yeah. I think they're very like receiver friendly. When I say that, I think, like, you know, they're not like, they don't have like this like like baseball like ish type passes, right? Where the ball, like, you know, they throw pretty good spirals, in my opinion. I think they, you know, Brad, that was like one of the things I liked about him a lot, was all of his passes was like very tight, easy to catch, on time, like right spot, stuff like that. Like, as a receiver, like, you really,
I don't think either one of them have played favorites. Like, they're hitting the open. They're trying to hit the open guy. Like, they're not, for the most part, forcing balls. Beck, yes, we've seen it, but I think generally that's both of them had that philosophy.
Right. Like, you get open, like, you're gonna get the ball. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I see it with both of them. I think, if we're comparing like Miami quarterbacks just overall, I do think Beck and Brad would be somewhat in that like same kind of category as far as like style of play. They're not runners, right? They're not the fastest guys, you know, can move around in the pocket a little bit, but, you know, they're more so pocket passers, and they're like more accurate passers. You know, I think that's what was an underrated thing about Brad. Like, he was very accurate, you know, and, you know, good leader as well. So
I already see it in the comments. So I got to ask you this, and me and Pete talk about this literally every show, because it's a hot topic. I know you see it. You're all over the place. You're on multiple shows. I know I saw you with my boys 50 on Twitter. Shout out to Category 6 and all those guys. You know, I know you're in the spaces, you're in the game, so you know this is the topic of discussion when we're not talking about Pitt or whatever it is, which is transfer quarterback. And we get a lot of like, you got to develop your own. Why are you bringing in these portal guys? You are put yourself now as the 18-year-old, you know, star of college football, trying to look forward.
Put yourself. You're Malachi Tony right now,
right? Like, you got 3 years
right
left. What do you think about the whole transfer quarterback versus develop your own?
Man, listen, in my opinion, like, if I'm on the team, if I'm Malachi and I just went crazy freshman year, and well, I did.
That's what I'm saying. I was going to say, you can be yourself. Just be yourself.
You literally trying to like act like I did it. Like,
just be yourself.
Like, that next year, man, like, coach, like, I'm not going to lie, brother. Like, we got to go find best available. Like, I need a guy, you know, because at this point, like, the expectation only gets higher, you know what I'm saying? So you don't want to be out there with a dude who is green, you know, he's never really been out there in the battle. He don't really know how to read, you know, you're going through those learning curves, and it's cool, but I do think, like, we already set the expectation to here. Like, we're about to go, you know, knock on wood, we win the next game, obviously, back-to-back 10-win seasons. Like, you don't go from 10-2 or 11-2 or whatever it's going to be at the end of the day. You don't go from that to trotting out a brand new freshman quarterback who's never played. You don't, like, unless you want to go like 7-5 and try to fire your coach, then go ahead. But I think in today's day, like,
I mean, look, it could still happen. You can still have a bad year with a transfer QB. There's no guarantees with it either. But I think you're like, the percentage chances of it happening are way lower with someone that you've seen do it to a certain degree, as opposed to someone that you just don't trust. And Ahmmon, what I've been saying is, like, I think the only way in today's the way that it's set up right now under Mario, that we see a young quarterback or a homegrown quarterback start, is if you bring someone in, they end up winning the backup job, and someone gets the guy that you brought in gets injured.
Yeah.
They play for 5-6 games throughout the season, and they show, hey, they can do it, and then you build on that next year. But I don't see it happening on the other way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, well, I know for a fact we're gonna have to go, grab a guy at the portal, and rival fan base is gonna troll about, oh, we don't develop. Like, how many quarterbacks throughout college football actually stay at the school they like committed to out of high school? Damn near none of them. So that's not even like the norm no more. And then two, like these coaches, like we see around the nation, like one bad year or a few bad losses, you might be out of there, right? So I just think everyone's like playing the safer way. And it's like, look, I can go scout a kid, obviously, that came from high school, who I got to develop and teach a bunch of stuff to, go through that learning curve for 2-3 years maybe. Or I can go and look at the tape of guys playing on the collegiate level already, and I can see all the pros, all the cons. I can see what I can get him better at, or I think he can fit in our system. Hence Cam Ward, the guy that was at Washington State. They were losing a bunch of games, but he had a lot of ability. And it's like, I think he can fit what we do over here very well. And I just think I'm cool with that. At the end of the day, I think college football is about wins and losses. To me, hey, Deron Coleman type kid, right? If the staff is high on him, great, bring him in, let him compete, let him develop, right? And if you have a portal guy that got 1 year or 2 years of eligibility, great. And I think with NIL, like there's really no rush on when that kid can be ready, because that kid now is still getting paid. He's not there for free like back in the day. He can sit comfortably. He's learning just like in the NFL, right? You're learning behind some vet guy until your number's called, whether it's an injury, whether that guy's performing bad, or the very next year after you learn from that guy and the staff and you're ready to go, then you can hand the keys. So I just think it's a different type of world we're in, like as far as the quarterback stuff. So yeah, go get me, the kid from Cincinnati, or go get me, baby Mahomes or something, and let's roll. Like I'm cool off the, oh, we got to go through, like, why? Like, that's the question I got to ask people who ask, why don't we develop or use our freshman guys? What is the point?
Yeah.
Like, what is the point when no one else is doing it? When Ohio State is going and getting a portal guy, right? When all these other schools are doing the same thing, why do we magically try to go opposite and say, no, Coleman should start, but Coleman hasn't shown anything. Coleman isn't even on campus yet. He hasn't proven anything yet. We don't know. He could be the next Bryce Young for all we know. We don't know. Let him show us that, instead of just giving guys the keys to the whole university. Essentially, I mean, that's what being a quarterback is at a school. You got the keys to everything.
And they talk about money too, like, oh, because Carson Beck, Ward, these guys get paid. It's like, well, hold on a second. You don't think that Arch Manning was getting paid a lot of money before he even did anything?
God.
Like
100%.
You got to pay those guys too. Now we'll ask though, everybody's different. So every quarterback's personality is different, locker room fit, portal, homegrown. They're all different people. So let's put that aside and just kind of speak generally. Do you think there's a locker room component? Because I've heard that argument that bringing in guys from the outside, not as good for the locker room as opposed to like homegrown. He grew up with these, came up with these guys, all that. Like putting the individual personalities aside, do you think there's a locker room component to it?
Honestly, I really don't believe so. It can be, right, if you do a terrible job of just evaluating like the character, and kind of like the NFL, how they ask you about character issues. They do research on your parents and where you grew up and all that type of stuff. I think colleges are adapting that same model as far as a portal, just to kind of get an idea of who they're bringing into the locker room. So you definitely got to do your due diligence. But I think like you bring in the right people, like it's fine. Obviously, I think the staff has a pretty good job. They've done a pretty good job of identifying guys, whatever way they do it. I don't know, but I think we haven't really had that issue. I think we had maybe a few guys, 1 or 2 guys I can think of that were, from what I know, like a little hard to deal with, in the locker room. But you got to look at the whole sample size. I think that's maybe like 10% of what we actually are bringing in, of guys who, Think about Tony Johnson, for example.
Better hit percentages than a high school recruiting class that you're going to hit on. I mean, I don't know what the percentage is, but you're not hitting on 80 to 90%. That's a very difficult thing to do.
No, exactly. So, I think, bringing in the right character guys like Tony Johnson, I think was pretty good for the locker room. CJ Daniels was great for the locker room. Like, just identifying those guys who can give you some production as well as be leaders and help these younger guys develop. And I truly do think that's just a big part of like these young guys looking pretty good for us, especially in the receiver room. Like, you got some vets who played a lot of college football who are actually good people, so. Yeah,
I think that's important with the portal is you got to be real careful on character, because if you're importing bad character guys, now you got real problems. Whereas if you're importing KJ Osborne, you're basically importing a leader to your room.
Exactly.
Now, before we leave the topic, because I know you're on this stuff, so do you have a guy that's caught your eye that is one of these guys that's been discussed that you've seen him play on a Thursday or a Saturday? You're like, I could see this guy fitting in. Any quarterbacks that caught your eye?
Yeah, for sure. The one I'll always say, and I don't know if you'll hit the portal, my number one guy out of anybody, and this is more like the long shot one, is the Cal quarterback, JKS. I think even though he's left-handed, why people don't want to, think about Tua and all that stuff, people are funny. I do think like that, like he has talent that's just not coachable. Like, he has arm talent that is just like God-given. No coach has got him that. Like, that's just him. And I think you put that kid in the offense with weapons and the offensive line and a run game, like, he is an elite. Like, he's already, in my opinion, like, I think he's great. I think he can literally get to like that, like, elite level when he actually, is not a true freshman, for one. Two, he's in like one of those systems with actual weapons. And I think he'll be scary. That's him. But my realistic option, man, I like that Cincinnati quarterback. I'm going to tell you why.
Let's hear it.
Watching the film, right, I see a dude who's like a dual threat. I think he's a lot more agile, and he is a runner than people, like, I guess, give him credit for. Like, he has stick game. He's spinning. He's juking guys. He's running through guys in the goal line. I like that. Also, when I'm looking, I see a guy with a quick release. Well, I think that's important because it reminds me of Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward had one of the quickest releases I've seen in a long time. And when I'm watching this kid, I see something similar, like flick of the wrist, and he's playing at Cincinnati. Like, let's just be honest, Cincinnati don't got the best weapons. They don't got the best run game or anything. And he's been dealing over there. So those would be like my first two. After that, you got like the Levitts of the world, which I like. I just think he has that injury and stuff like that. And I just don't think the staff will want to go through another thing of a guy missing spring, because I think we've seen, missing that whole period of time can have an effect, like, just on like the offense humming and, flowing a little bit. And then you got baby Mahomes. That'd be the last guy on my little short list. Baby Mahomes. I think he has a lot of potential. 5-star guy coming out. I just think when he went to Nebraska, it was one of those situations where he's like bigger than a program. Like, I just think Nebraska was like in a bad place where he almost had the keys to everything. He was the guy, like, and I just feel like if you put a guy like that, like, in the correct system with equal talent, guys who are probably better than him, give him Malachi Tony, right? And I think you can get a lot out of a guy like that because he has talent. So that'll be like one of the last guys on my list. But
and let me tell you something. Yeah. He's a guy that it's interesting because it's one of those things where you don't want to, he has such an arm talent. You don't want to take certain things out of his game, but I can see some similarities to not as productive anywhere near what Ward was previously, but with some of the turnover stuff and some of just the I don't want to call it mechanical issues because I don't think Dawson did anything to change anything that Ward had, but with the protection that he's going to have, I think it'll clean a lot of the stuff up that is an issue for him right now.
Yeah, I think he's like, Raiola is like second or third in like pressures and sacks. Something crazy. I think he has like 28 sacks, like 100 and some pressures. Like, pretty much like he's always on the run. He's always on the run. So to your point, yeah, I think like you can Like, that's why I think I like evaluation so much, because you can look at something so terrible or a guy that's not where he should be, and you can like take him and put him in your system that you know works for him based off the pros you see him do, right? His throw angles, arm strength, just ability to evade pressure in the pocket. Like I said, 100 and some pressure, 28 sacks. That means you're evading those majority of the sacks, obviously. So, and then he's always under stress. Like, I like to see him in a nice, clean pocket with talent and Malachi Tony streaking down the field. Like, I would like to see what that would look like. And I think that's what the coaches kind of do. What would that kid look like in this system? Not what he's done at whatever school he's before. Like, what can we get out of him here? And, it's been working the last 2 years for us, to be honest.
I couldn't have said it better. I agree totally. And like, we're selling the best. We got the best pass block and offensive line period in the country. You can say what you want about the running game this year, but I mean, the numbers, the visuals, I mean, you've seen these pockets, it's crazy. And then Malachi, on top of everything else, that's easy sell, I got to think. But you said something which I could not agree more, which is like, you got to get talent in here, because like, if you had like a team that your offense is kind of a mess, maybe you say, you know what, we need a stable game manager just to at least raise our floor a little bit, right? Because there's going to be stuff going on. We're not the best protection team. Like, we just need someone to get us in line and give us a chance to win. When you have the best protection and the guy's going to be able to show his talent, well, then give me the guy with the most talent, because that talent's going to come to the field. He's going to have time to do it. And now you have a higher ceiling, because Cam Ward might have been something at Wazoo, but now you put him with all this time, and you're going to see things you've never seen before in your life, because he has time to do it. So I'm with you. Get the most talented guys. Obviously, the character and stuff's got to be good too, but get the most talented guys, and then bet on your offensive line to bring that talent out.
Yeah, I'll say this: Raiola and Adidas. Don't discount that being an important factor in this thing.
I didn't think about.
I'm just saying.
I literally forgot. I literally forgot that Adidas in Nebraska are a thing. Yeah, I mean, listen. I would be happy. I would be smiling ear to ear if he were to come. I think the kid has like, I feel like he has like an it factor in his game. It just hasn't been brought out yet. But when I watch him play, like he has the aura that people look for, that quarterback kind of moxie and the competitive kind of like edge to him as well. I just think he's on a bad team. Like, I really just think he's on a bad, like, Nebraska's never been good to me. I know they got to get the coach there, Matt Rule, and he's trying to get the thing rolling. And I just don't see it, though. I've never thought Nebraska was trending in a positive way. I think he just went to a situation that, I don't know. Is he from Nebraska or something? Or
his dad played
there, and his dad's a coach, Dominic Raiola, Raiola was a good center.
Their grandfather, and I've heard this from multiple people. I've seen the picture. I didn't even know this. I should have. His grandfather played at UM. First Hawaiian player at UM was his grandfather.
Okay.
Meaning University of Miami. So there's a little bit of a tie there. Real quick, Ahmmon, before we let you go, because I was talking to somebody who's from Wellington, and I don't know how involved you are in this. I know you're down here, so you're not up there as much, but from what I'm hearing, Jordan Travis's brother, played Major League Ball. Jonathan Bostic, Palm Beach linebacker, who was played pro for a while at Florida Gator. They're like basically making like the IMG of South Florida in Wellington. Like, what do you know about this project? Are you involved at all? Or like what can it mean to recruiting down here if you got basically an IMG an hour away?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to those guys. John Bostic, played at WCFL. Palm Beach guy, Dev as well. I've seen the renderings and stuff like that they were making. It's pretty much just like a sports complex. Like you said, like an IMG where, in my opinion, it's like a great thing to keep a lot of those local Palm Beach County kids like in Wellington, I should say more specifically, because I don't think people realize there's a lot of like talent that has came from Palm Beach County, but out of like Wellington area, more in particular. A lot of those guys end up going to other schools like Dwyer or, Cardinal Newman or whatever. But I like what we're doing. Yeah, the Wellington Sports Academy is the name. I wish I was a part of it. I kind of like found out about it. I just seen them posting about it, and I seen like all the edits and what it's supposed to look like and all that stuff. So I thought it was pretty dope, and I thought it was something that we needed just as a community, just like a hub. Because there's a lot of guys that come from, whether it's baseball, basketball, like we've had some guys that's played some pretty good Division I football come from this, whether it's Wellington High School indirectly or schools in a close area. So it's good to see. It's big for the community. A lot of talent, like I said, a lot of youth coming up. WCFL, the football league, like always, we've had talent. Like I said, John Bostic played out there. There's a bunch of guys that played Division I football that came from the youth league kind of like program, or I should say league. But it's great. Hey, if they need some other hands in there, hey, they know my Instagram or number. They call me, hit me up, let me know. I think it's big for the city, and I'm excited to see once it's done and they cut open that little bow thing in the front. I'll be there working out and stuff. So sure.
I don't know why I just thought about this, and it's completely going back to Raiola. I just started laughing though, thinking about listen, the Mahomes stuff. It's a little weird to me, but Ahmmon, can you imagine him walking into that locker room and what the South Florida guys are going to say to him? I think he'll drop that Mahomes thing real fast if he walks into the Miami locker room.
I think it's one of those things where, South Florida guys are very blunt in what they think, really don't care. It almost seems like, what are the repercussions? Who cares? Bro, you're tripping. So I think it'll tone down a little bit. That's what I'm saying. I think at Nebraska, it was just he
can do that. No one's gonna check. Who's gonna check him there? Your dad's the coach. You're the number one recruit in the country.
No one cares. In my opinion, how I see it, maybe that's what I meant when I said I think he has the it factor in there. It just hasn't been brought up. I think, in my opinion, that, and if you're watching this, Mr. Raiola, dad, grandpa, whoever, look, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just being honest. I truly think if he was himself, he would be 10 times better than what he's shown already. I give an example. That's like me as a 6'2" receiver. I'm trying to play like Tyreek Hill. Right. I'm doing everything that Tyreek Hill is doing, but you're not Tyreek Hill. That's not your style of play. I think if he was Dylan Raiola, he would be up here already. If I was just Ahmmon Richards, I would be playing. You know what I'm saying? Just play your game, do what you do very well. But I think he's taking what Mahomes is doing, which is cool. I think a lot of players do it, but when it comes to how he walks, how he throwing angles, and I feel like you're getting outside of what your natural talent is. You know what I'm saying? Do what you were gifted to do.
And I think, again, there could be, you saw Beck, we understand what the idea was about him coming in terms of his personality and all that. Everything that I've heard and I've seen has been that he's a down-to-earth dude who the guys really like to be around, and he's had a great attitude. I heard so. Yeah, I think Miami can kind of do that to you sometimes, especially when he was humbled the way he was, I think, in the offseason with the injury and everything going on. And again, hypothetically, Raiola would be dealing with the same sort of thing because it didn't work out to the high degree the last couple of years here. You still have that 5-star thing following you. He gets a lot on social media. Some of it probably brought to himself with the Mahomes stuff, but I think it would be a similar sort of
Hey Pete, I got a funny thing for you, man. Imagine we come out to smoke and how the players run to the end zone and they do the prayer. After the prayer, you see baby Mahomes just running down the sideline doing the Mahomes. Oh my God.
That would be
the crowd's gonna get lit, but I'm gonna be laughing, bro. I'm boy, this is real, bro. This is actually real.
Hey, we need all I know is that on Saturday, be themselves, but I wouldn't mind a little Ahmmon Richards impersonation against Pitt. Yeah, you know what I mean. 180 yards. We'll take that kind of performance.
Yeah, no, I think Mally gonna go for probably 120, 130. I think he's gonna have about. I know you gave an accurate prediction last week, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the books. I think Mally's gonna go for 9 catches, 120 yards, a touchdown, and we go on to get a double-digit victory.
Let's go. We'll clip that one up on Sunday. Hey,
I'll throw in 2 completions.
Here we go.
Two
There you go.
completions.
Oh,
Not
that's the
one,
part I
two.
keep forgetting. Yeah, I forgot he can throw a damn touchdown pass too. So yeah, nah, he probably he'll complete at least one. If the over under was 1.5, I'll take 2.
I'm with it.
I'll take the over.
All right, man. You're the man. Appreciate you always. Thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving with your fam. Go Canes.
Yep. You too, man.
Okay.
Happy Thanksgiving. You guys be safe. Go Canes, man. I'll see you guys next Tuesday.
That's it. Great segment, man, with the mod. That was fun.
Yep, as always. D, I want to mention real quick. Of course, it's Thanksgiving, and I would be remiss if I did not mention Lomelo's Meat Market, fresh Wagyu beef delivered to your door nationwide. If you're not here local in South Florida, you can use that promo code CIS10 for 10% off your order. If you are local, Lomelo's is right past Dayland, 9810 South Dixie Highway. So about 10 minutes from campus. You see some of the beautiful options here. See that tomahawk on the grill. So if you're not going to be traveling to Pittsburgh for the game this weekend, of course, you could check out Lomelo's to stock up. Promo code CIS10.
Listen, I mean, really, you can knock out your whole Thanksgiving. You roll Lomelo's right there.
Yeah.
Right there next to Dayland. So you go to Lomelo, you get your meat for the grill. Then you roll right to Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion and get all your sides, get all your pastries, get all your kind of non-steak, for the grill items at East Escanadia's Catering, man, right there for your Thanksgiving. A little bit of everything. Look at this package. 20 OG ham croquetas, 3 egg, bacon, and cheese empanadas, 2 beef empanadas, 2 chicken empanadas, spinach and cheese. I mean, this thing goes on and on. That's just one option.
And we got Noche Buena next month too. So you know that it's going to be popping for that. The catering is a no-brainer.
And you listen, you don't have to be Cuban, man. You'll be blowing minds with some of this stuff. The yuca bite, some of my favorites, always. Tequeños, if you want to do a little Venezuelan flavor with it, kind of basically elevated cheese sticks, we'll call them if you're not familiar. But next level cheese sticks, beans, rice, you name it, they got it. You always go to the East Escanadias and just get your lunch, especially if you're you're trying to get something before the big Thanksgiving dinner later today. But yeah, man, catering can't be beat, and it's so convenient. All the different kinds of options. East Escanadias, Cuban Express. I got one more, Pete, because it's gonna be a lot of aches and pains this weekend. People playing on a full stomach, maybe not what they used to be. Maybe your Thanksgiving is a little more active. Maybe you want to play pickup ball with your cousins, with your brothers, with your family. To recover your game with the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute. If you consider yourself an athlete or just an active person, you know how hard it is to sit on the injury list with pain or injury. Don't want to miss that turkey bowl. Maybe even try to come back early, hack your own rehab. But if compromising your movement or performance is not an option, call the experts at the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute. Whether it's a league competition with Miami Hurricanes athletics or just that turkey bowl performance, the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute is the trusted choice for those who demand excellence. Set an appointment today at uhealthsports.com. All right, Pete. So look, we got a lot of basketball to talk about. I want to save that to the end. I want to let that one roll as long as we need it to, because I know there's a lot you want to say. It's a huge, huge game. Going to be a lot of fun here. The game of the day, right? I mean, some people want to watch Detroit Lions football and all that, and I'll be watching that too. But I agree with you, Pete. The game of the day is the University of Miami taking on Brigham Young University. But before we get there, I want to talk a little bit of recruiting, Pete. See if you can pull up the senior clips for this guy, which is Karsten Bush, a linebacker out of Louisville, Kentucky. He had a huge senior year, and I want to talk about him because we talk about the profile that Miami's trying to get. And there's a 4-star player on the composite, #1 player in Kentucky. But this dude is exactly what Heatherman has been trying to build towards. 6'3", 223 pounds. He self-reports a 4.5. He had a 21 mile per hour game speed. Like, all the metrics on this guy from everything you've seen, I can't verify it myself, but I've seen enough of it that I believe it, and the film certainly backs it up. But everything we've seen from this guy is he is long, fast, and very, very talented. A guy that plays multiple positions, senior riser, all the check marks that you see with what Heatherman wants and what Miami is looking for in this class. Senior risers with big-time NFL talent. Louisville committees from Louisville, Kentucky, decommitted recently. Wisconsin got the crystal ball when he decommitted, but he has just announced that he is visiting Miami this weekend. The Canes will be there to greet him, or at least he'll be there to greet the Canes when they get back from Pittsburgh, hopefully with a win And this is obviously a high priority, which is why they're visiting him here. But Pete, I think this guy is one of the most talented players defensively that I've seen on our board. When he first came on the scene, I loved what I saw. I love the vision. Again, the versatility, the fact that this guy does do multiple things. He has the length and the speed, and then he's getting better as a senior. I think he just checks a lot of boxes. JJ Edwards, another senior riser from Orlando, verified athleticism, rush, cover, all that stuff, sideline to sideline. So similar in that way. But
guy just ran out of. You saw that one. The running back just. I'm gonna have to rewind this one.
Yeah, he ran
the
out.
Running back just ran out of bounds because he wanted to avoid. Was it this next play here?
Yeah, and he couldn't beat it to the sideline either because the guy was too fast.
Yeah.
And here you see, look at all the space here to the field, getting off a block easily, and then look at the speed to close.
He just runs out of bounds though. That's great.
I mean, P, I want to get your thoughts in a second, but I mean, I'm not just saying this because this guy's visiting this weekend. I've always liked this guy. When he decommitted, I got excited for a second because I knew we loved him. But then I saw Wisconsin got the crystal ball. I said, all right, well, this might be just an inside deal. But the fact that he's visiting, I think, is huge, and this guy fits in exactly what Miami's trying to do. Look at that.
And I think from what I understand, not knowing what the situation is in terms of NIL and all that, I expect Miami to be aggressive with it just because I've already heard they are going to be aggressive in the portal. I mean, I would expect 2 additions at linebacker at least in the portal. I mean, you could see 3 guys added here. This might be the spot that they add the most players. Outside of defensive line, probably add a couple also, but they're going to go for a couple here. So that tells me that they're willing to get aggressive as well when it comes to trying to finish the recruitment here with someone like Karsten Bush, because like we mentioned, I think Wisconsin certainly looks good right now, but an official visit is a big one. He's already been down here once this year. So
yeah, first reported interest right when he came on the scene, we reported in the bank. And I love the fact that he is an offensive player as well. So you have the speed and size and everything else, but sometimes these speed size guys can be a little stiff and they're just kind of like weight room type of freaks. But this guy's got the coordinated athleticism to play offense. Here you see him on special teams. I'm sure he's going to run someone down, boom, clear the way for a touchdown. But the versatility, the movement skills, the fact that he's already playing linebacker is not Pee Wee's. How many guys have we seen that had size and speed, but they were like rush ends that you're trying to project to play linebacker? This guy's already playing linebacker. And that's what I just saw. That's like the 3rd clip I've seen where some guy has a clear route to the end zone and he runs him down.
Takes the angle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very similar to JJ Edwards. He's maybe a bit bigger than Edwards right now, D.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Am I
definitely?
So,
he's 230.
But I think the movement and the fact that they're both playing linebacker, like you said. But no, this is a run and chase, man. This is as good as it gets.
Yeah, this is a guy that's a real dude, and it's not like something that is, manufactured because you missed out on a target. This is a guy that they've targeted for a long time, and they look at Hans catch and getting a field. I mean, this guy could play offense. This guy's good at tight end, man. He could be an H-back for you, really, legitimately ACC level.
I don't want us to get another H-back until we can show we can use this one effectively.
That's right. That's true. But Kellen Wiley was a guy last year that I think was built similarly to Karsten Bush. So you got both those guys rocking and rolling on top of what you bring in the portal. Zeke Marcelin's playing a little bit too. You've seen him play on special teams. There's other guys, Bobby Washington coming back from injury, Bobby Pruitt, doing his thing. I know I'm forgetting some folks.
Popo.
Well, Popo for sure.
Popo's been a super solid player for Miami.
Yeah,
I think undervalued. He's very undervalued in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, he's dope. Popo, that's a no-brainer. He's going to be factored in. I'm just thinking of some of these young guys that, Heatherman, what we heard about him was he wants length and speed. We reported that repeatedly, just like we first reported the interest in this particular player. We reported more broadly that what Heatherman was looking for a linebacker, and I think you're seeing that with these kind of evaluations. By the way, Gabby Arrudia just reported that, Anthony Kennedy's officially decommitted, which I don't think for Miami fans is a surprise. There's a reason we haven't talked about him in, 2 months. Pete, I mean, you could confirm. You talked about it in the work. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I've been saying on the Discord for a while. This is obviously this was trending this way. Where's he going? Missouri now. It looks like.
It looks like he's officially flipped, but yeah, that looks like where it's gonna happen.
So it looks like he'll end up at the Missouri. Look, at the end of the day, Corey Heatherman does not want. If there's a special talent who's a 315, 320 pound kid coming out of high school, of course he'll.
That's a great thing.
Take him, but guys that are inherent, like just naturally big like that. I mean, he probably was at 350 plus this year, D, from what I understand, probably closer to the 360 pound range. And size is size, but I think they're looking for some dynamic athletes. And you've seen with some of the guys that they brought in, a Frederick Saintis, who's already at 285 right now, and is still such a raw talent, but has shown such progress in a short amount of time that you expect him to potentially be a guy who makes it in the rotation next year. Like, I think that's how much there's expectations for a guy like him. You have a Shari Charles committed at end, but could maybe put on the weight to play inside as a quick 3 tech. But yeah, you're not going to see them going after a lot of these big bodies at times. Remember when they took Kennedy at that time, D, you didn't have much in the class.
No.
And you were reeling, and you did not land Tank Jones at the time. You did not land Nolan Wilson. So at that point, so you were very you needed to go grab someone.
By the way, this Carson Bush feels phenomenal, man. This thing's still rolling, and he's making great plays. But yeah, Pete, I agree exactly with what you said. If you look at the guys in the class, let's say defensive tackle, how much of them fit this profile? 6'3", 6'4", like in that 280 range. Very good senior film, very high motor, very athletic, plays behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, Saintius fits that bill. Tyson Bacon, before he got hurt,
fit
that bill, and he'll be back soon.
Our boy Keyshawn Stansel,
Stansel, the highest rated version,
who we don't talk about enough. By the way, I feel like he that was such a quick flip there that we just kind of like brushed past it, but he's someone that they're really excited about.
Yeah, he's probably honestly, if I'm ranking him, probably the top one. Certainly that's what he is recruiting wise. We're going to do a show, by the way, sign days on Wednesday. We're so focused on Pitt, we're almost forgetting we're going to be doing our usual marathon show on Wednesday for all these signings. And we'll talk about all these guys in depth, hopefully Carson Bush being one of them. But yeah, I think senior evals with those defensive tackles. I didn't mention Isaac Chukwura,
they love.
Ran a 4.8 verified in a camp. So this guy can really run. His senior film is incredible. From
what I understand, D, I think Virginia Tech tried to swing back on him with Franklin, and he rebuffed that. So
yeah, he looks like a Virginia Tech D tackle from when they're good. And then Logan Nagel, right, long, again 280, twitch guy, very good senior year, high motor. They're all kind of the same guy. Anthony Kennedy, I thought, just fell outside of that in terms of just the senior production, the size, some of the explosiveness stuff. But bringing it back to Bush, I'm just like, remember we watched Kellen Wiley's video and we were like, man, this guy is unreal. Like, how's this guy not a 4-star? He ended up being a 4-star. I think Bush, you're seeing something similar, and he's ranked as a low 4-star. I think the tape, though, you're talking about, this is, if you slapped any number on this guy, I wouldn't be surprised, or like just watching the film, because of the size, speed, and the production. This is a big time player, and I would love to have this guy join the linebacker class with JJ Edwards.
Yep, agreed.
All right, so
that's a lot of athleticism. And then you have Jordan Campbell too, which I don't know what he's gonna. He plays more of an edge D, but I think body type wise is more of a linebacker. So that'll be an interesting one to get sorted out once he gets on campus.
Yeah, I think you're bringing him up. Yeah, very talented. Again, fast, athletic, long guy. I think he could play linebacker, but I keep hearing edge because that's what he's paying in high school. It's the kind of thing. Look, you put him at linebacker in one practice, and he's a linebacker, right? So you kind of don't know until they're here. I saw him play linebacker at the Under Armour game, and he was actually a linebacker. Like, it wasn't no edge to it. And he looked good. He was making plays. I think he played linebacker, no problem. But we'll have to see when they get here and how they want to use him. But physically, speed, length, I think he kind of fits that mold. Old Kane saying, "D, do you still expect us to sign that blue chip D line?" We'll find out. That'll be down to the wire. We'll monitor that. Hopefully, coming off a win. But Pete, I want to switch gears to talk about the Canes hoops. I know we got to talk about someone close to your heart. The first one, I want to talk about KashKick. This is KashKick, the rare triple win with the Play It Forward campaign. You go to the App Store, download
KASH.
What did I say? KSC or something?
You just said KAS. KASH.
KSH for cash with the K. Kick, because you get a little kickback for playing these games. So KashKick, download the App Store. 4.5 plus average rating, 1.5 million plus downloads. Totally, one of the biggest apps on the planet. But you go ahead and download the app at the App Store. You get all the games that you play on your phone consolidated, so you can play games all day, whatever you're into. You name the style of game, they got it on KashKick, so you get what you like on your phone as you're playing games, or if you're giving the phone to your kids and they're playing the games. You are making money on the side. Advertisers pay money right to you, goes into your PayPal account. It's that easy just for playing games. I mean, it sounds like a cheat code, but it's a real thing. One of the biggest apps on the planet. And with the Play It Forward campaign, not only do you get the money in your pocket, not only do you download the game, money goes to the American Cancer Society, matching what you're already getting paid yourself directly. They also make a donation to the American Cancer Society to fight this terrible disease. So KashKick, KashKick, the App Store, and the Play It Forward campaign, the rare triple win scenario. So Canes Hoops, Pete, you know what time it is.
Yeah, man. So as always, Canes basketball, Canes Hoops coverage here on CanesInSight, brought to you guys by Aries Law PA. Check out AriesLawPA.com. This is my father, guys, and this is very important stuff we're talking about here. We have a lot of different attorneys that sponsor the show here, but this is estate planning, wills, trusts, planning your future. You have to do it so others don't, and protect the people and assets you value most. Schedule your free consultation today. Experience you can trust. His office is down Coral Way, headed towards Brickell. So if you guys want to do an in-person consultation, you can do that, but also can do it online, AriesLawPA.com. And this matchup today, BYU is one of the most loaded teams in the country. Everyone talks about AJ DeBonsa, but their leading scorer is Richie Saunders, a homegrown guy who's gotten better every year. He's averaging 20 points a game this year, shooting 7 threes a game, making 3 of them just about per game, averaging 21 points a game. And then Rob Wright, who came over from Baylor, former 5-star recruit at the point guard spot, absolute stud. They have Keba Keita inside, Kennard Davis as well. So they've got, I mean, NBA sort of talent all over this team. Again, DeBonsa is the headliner because he's most likely going to be the number 1 pick of the draft. But this is an absolutely loaded team. Only have lost 1 time this year by 2 against UConn, and they blew out a ranked Wisconsin team the other day. Kennard Davis, I think, is actually suspended right now. Yes, that's right. He played the first few games of the year, then suspended. Was arrested recently, so that doesn't fly at it was a DUI charge, so that's not going to fly at BYU.
A lot of people are asking this, Pete. So I want to ask you, because I know you're more tuned into this than I am, and you've been talking about this. We've talked about this off air, but Rock the 5, Mrs. G, both asking, what's going on at BYU? How are they loaded with such great players? I mean, I remember Jabari Parker. Remember him was thinking about going there because he actually was Mormon, the forward that ended up signing with Duke. That was the last time I ever heard Duke in play for this level of just high-end 5-star talent. How did this happen?
Well, it coincided with them bringing in Kevin Young, who was the associate head coach for the Suns, and a guy who had a lot of ties in Utah because there was a G League team, or I guess it was the D League at that time. He was the head coach for the team there. Also, again, he was like one of the top assistants in the NBA. Was with the Suns when they made that run to the finals. So it coincided with that, and then a real NIL backing towards the program. And man, sometimes it's kind of like what we're seeing. Obviously, there's oil money at Texas Tech, but Texas Tech is they're aligned within what they want to do. They're very serious about, hey, we got to go pay $2.5 million for a couple each for the top pass rushers in the country. That's what we're going to do. We're going to have the best defensive line in the country, right? Like when you're committed to pouring money into something and then you have a real, I mean, they're running real NBA sets out there. It's a very, from a basketball standpoint, it's a fantastic, the development that they're putting in place there is top of the line. So obviously there's going to be challenges to recruit there, and there's going to be some challenges with the Mormon culture, just flat out. That's to get some guys there. It's going to be tough, but they have an NIL commitment. They have a fantastic coach. So
yeah, but by the way, people don't realize like Mormon's got a lot of money. Like big Wall Street firms, like these guys are CEOs, like they speak a lot of languages. I don't want to generalize, but I generalize. They speak a lot of languages, and they're clean lifestyle. Like they get recruited a lot. So there's a lot of money in Utah and in the Mormon community. So I'm not surprised that it's kind of like Texas Tech. We say oil money with Texas Tech, right? BYU is kind of similar. There's a lot more money in that region than people think. And
see, I'm looking at it now too. One of the big donors is the Jazz owner Ryan Smith, who's big in not only like he's the owner of the Jazz, but puts a lot of money into golf sponsorship as well with his companies. Like he understands that, because I think what a lot of these guys with money are understanding is like the return on your investment, NIL wise, if you're someone who's very closely associated with that school, you're almost like looked at as an owner, as like an owner of a team. Right. And if you can position yourself a certain way and your success is like, you don't think that the Texas Tech, the Double Eagle, the oil company has been somehow helped because of their involvements with Texas Tech now?
Yeah.
So you may not see the direct return on investment in terms of like what your revenue is going to be the next year, but brand recognition, a lot of this stuff to say, hey, I'm going to put $10 million a year into it. It's worth it for a guy like that who owns the Jazz, who knows how much money it took to buy the Jazz. He says, man, I can have a similar sort of impact here with, at a fraction of the cost.
Yeah. And that's how I think as the sport becomes more professionalized, I think the value of the UM brand, because BYU as a brand, now it's a specialized brand. It's only for really a certain part of the country or a certain religion, not only, but, mostly, but that's going to attract money to it for people that went to the school or grew up watching that school. I mean, BYU right now is ranked ahead of us. I mean, BYU has been good. They beat us in the early 90s. I think it was 1990. They beat Miami when Miami was really rolling. And they had a huge offense that was unheard of at the time, and ended up, claiming potentially national championship. So this is a brand that's strong, and brands attract money when it's an open market, so to speak. And I think what this will help Miami too, as you get more external money controlling the game, is, the Yankees are always going to be well funded because it's the logo, right? If they get sold, they'll be sold for a lot because of the logo. So I think Miami would benefit from this kind of model.
I gotta bring this up, D.
Bring it up.
Okay, no, I got it. Well, this is so I'm just going down this rabbit hole of BYU and NIL, and they have a very, very interesting page here on the BYU Cougars website. BYU and NIL. They want to really dispel some myths here, D. With BYU's rise in the spotlight, many are sharing opinions about NIL efforts in Provo. Cut through the noise with some BYU NIL facts. Let's see if they mention AJ DeMont's $7 million deal here, D. Let's go here. Let's see what it is.
Go the bold.
Hold on. I was
okay.
Okay. So if it's not just the money, why do recruits choose BYU? It's the value-based environment, D. It's not the $7 million. It's not, as you look on Google, the reports of there being an open checkbook to pursue top recruits. It's the light and truth. It's the top tier education. It's a remarkable fan base. It's the alumni network. I just thought this was very interesting, and I appreciate BYU. Oh, and the athletic development, of course, very important.
That is true, though. They do develop, man. They got good coaching up there.
They do. But again, it's just thank you, BYU, for just giving us the truth of the matter. Let me tell you something. With all of the mudslinging that goes on about the Canes and NILD, we got to talk to Gorby. I don't know why we don't have a
we need one of
page
those
like that on the website.
I gotta say though, I will say this truthfully. You know, I interviewed Keelan Marion, who went to BYU and then transferred to Miami. And Keelan Marion is as Atlanta as it comes. I think he was born. I want to say he was born in Alabama. Like he's from the South, you know, and he loved BYU and his family did too. Because I was trying to figure out like, you know, kind of the story of the transfer. And I was assuming it'd be like, hey, you know, it was too far. You know, we had to get closer to home and all that. It really wasn't. I think he just wanted, you know, a bigger role in the offense and better offense, which he has here in Miami. But they love BYU. They had nothing but good things to say about BYU. And they're not, as far as I understand, Mormons, certainly not from the West. So, you know, I like, they have some stuff going for them that's not just the money, but yeah, I think the money is the when you get these one and done college basketball players, yeah, money's really.
Hey, I'm not hating on BYU at all. I'm very respectful of the program, but I just think that it's just funny how they're framing things.
Yeah, money talks for sure, but good for them, man. Hey, listen, this is cool. I mean, we're talking about BYU. They're playing these big national games. What are they ranked right now? They're
number 9 in the country, I think. And their only loss, again, 2-point loss to the number 3 team in the country. So
this matchup, and again, I haven't watched BYU like you have. I have watched every Canes game. You know, I don't know, just from what I understand about BYU, and correct me if I'm wrong, they don't have, like Florida against Miami, it seemed like you were watching two very similar teams, with Florida as the defending champion just being at a higher level of that same team, Miami, an earlier stage of development. But it seemed like they were kind of built the same way. Florida was just a better version of it, or a more advanced version of it. How do you see this matchup style-wise with Miami's physical play against BYU?
I mean, we might be bigger. DeBonsa is their leading rebounder at 6.5 a game. And then after that, I mean, Keita averages 5.4 rebounds for them, but he got banged up in that game against UConn. I'm not sure if he played their last game against Wisconsin or not. Let me. Yeah, it looks like he did, but he got banged up pretty badly in that one. He played 4 points, 6 rebounds against Wisconsin. So they don't really have that inside presence right now. Kennard Davis is a big loss for them. I mentioned him before. I mean, he played in the first 2 games of the season, and he missed time after that. He's been missing after that. But yeah, I think we will have the size advantage. We'll see if Ernest Uday goes today or not. He's missed the last couple games with an issue. I don't think it's anything major, but something that you don't want to linger. So obviously they kept him out the last couple games for that. Robert Wright as their point guard is someone who came over from Baylor. A lot of people were kind of wondering why he would leave Baylor, but obviously the NIL opportunities, as we've talked about, and this was
the value driven education,
the value based education and the development and all that. But he's a dynamic guy at the point guard spot. Richie Saunders, though, like I said, like he's gonna hit. If the Canes had a guy like him right now, 6'5", 6'6", and can stretch the floor for you. 21 points a game right now he's averaging. It would be a nice thing. Shooting 40% from 3, 52.2% from the field. So he's there to me. He's the guy outside of DeBonsa that we gotta really watch tonight. But I think we should match up defensively. I like us to be able to hold our own.
And where's the game again?
Orlando. It's at the Wide World of Sports complex. So I was going to go tomorrow, but I'm not going to be able to make it.
Yeah, a little bit of a trip for BYU. So
yeah, and then Georgetown and Dayton on the other side of the bracket there. So we could get the Aries Law and the D Money matchup there with the law school, the Georgetown law school thing. Miami and Georgetown potentially next round there.
Yeah. No, it should be
Georgetown's better this year. So
say again?
No, that Georgetown looks way better this year. So these are opportunities. These are quality. Even if you don't win against BYU, right? You'll play the loser of Dayton and Georgetown, and that could be a quality opponent there as well.
Yeah, real quick before we get out of here, Canes says they saw something about the baseball team being freaky fast. Can you touch on that? So yeah, so Soto, who is the strength and conditioning coach, Coach Soto for the Miami Hurricanes baseball team, and they got a ton of he's got a ton of clients, like major league clients and stuff. They got a ton of great athletes on the baseball team, and they've been developing their athletes. So he put out a list of some of the times. Let me see if I can pull it up here. It was on Instagram. So let me see if I can just scroll through it. I'll get that and push it up. But this is one of the fastest teams in the country, according to Soto, Coach Soto. And again, this is, obviously he's talking about his own guys, so take it for what it's worth. But he says he thinks we're one of the fastest teams in the country. Actually, I'll just go ahead and play the video. How about that? It's on Instagram. I think we can play it. So just give me a second, Pete. I'm going to mute myself and play the video. Give me a second. Oh, hold on. We got it. Let me just screen share the video. Let's see what our guy says here. Turn the sound on.
In NCAA by the 60, but I can tell you a few scouts seem to think so. But yeah, just to take a look at some of the programming that we do to get us to this kind of athleticism, this kind of speed in our team. You can see we're very heavy on sprint technique. We don't run for the sake of running. It's very specified, the running that we do. And it's all about just becoming a better sprinter. The complementary work, you can see, is all about explosiveness. It's about understanding how to absorb high amounts of forces. It's about learning how to push through high amounts of forces, and just to be as explosive and powerful as possible. And with that, we add the resiliency component and the coordination component and tie it all together. Really just trying to make the ultimate athlete. In doing so, it's hard to get it wrong. The simplicity is the name of the game, and finding what gives you those attributes is pretty easy when you try to keep it simple and you stay true to building the ultimate athlete, more so than the ultimate baseball player.
And yeah, you're seeing it right, guys. A 6.69 average for the whole team.
I hope 6.6 not copywritten, D.
Oh no, could that be copyrighted? That was just like a little background.
It might be. It might be. Yeah, unfortunately.
Really, just that little kind of doot music.
Yeah. If it's like a real music, if it's like an actual song, then yeah, it will be. But
all right,
we'll have to deal with that after.
I'll have to cut it out. Yeah, man, that was awesome. 6.69 average for the team is crazy. That's like I said, a scout said he thought they were the fastest team in the 60 in the country. So
I'll tell you what, that number would have been way lower if Harold Martinez was still playing.
Yeah. I was talking about that video. He says that Soto's a really known guy. We know that he's worked with some of the best athletes in the country as far as baseball players, Manny Machado, that type of baseball player. Always shout out to Salaries, Asteroid and Cox for providing our baseball coverage. Boutique law firm focusing on securities, regulatory matters, broker-dealer, investment advisor regulation, white-collar criminal defense, complex commercial lit, securities and arbitration, and litigation, aggressively representing clients throughout the nation. You see my man Jim Sala at Mark Light. You see him on TMZ representing Hak Tua in her successful securities lawsuit. One of the best in the world. We love him. So, all right, man. Great show. 1,500 on Thanksgiving, man. Like and subscribe. Appreciate it.
Canes.
Go Canes.